Welcome back. In the last lecture, we create our project with Create React App. So let's open our editor, which we will be using for coding here. So I have Visual Studio Code, which is I install one of the best code editor, but you guys can use any editor you like. For example, also WebStorm would you like an alternative Sublime or Atom or any other editor you like. Now here I install a theme and some extension where what I'm going to show you here. You can just tap on the extension button here and type material icon theme, which is I install for looking good our file system. And also I installed some prettier code formatter here, prettier code formatter, which is give us a little bit our code is in a colorful mention you will be seeing when we write in a code, and some other, if you like, some other extension which is help you in the coding, you can install here. Just type your extension, or you can just watch here extension, some of recommended and um, extension provided by default by VS Code Editor. So now you will have the same amount of file in the folder if you install these extension which I installed it. So let's go and open our folder which we was create in the last lecture with Create React App, which we give us in the name of React Guide. So I'm opening here in this Visual Studio Code Editor. So now you can see here which files. This is all our Create React App did. Here the first thing I'm going to show you about package.json, what it does. So in this project, and this was all created by Create React App. As you can see, we obviously import React here, React DOM, and React script, which is releasing. I'm using a release candidate version of React 16.8.6. At the point of time you viewing this should be released maybe some other. This should be released React DOM at the same. And React script, as I mentioned, is a package offering all this build workflow, this development server, the next generation JavaScript features, support, and all these things we are using in this project. In the package.json file, there was a couple of script defined. You can run these scripts with npm run and then the script name. The exception start, which you can also run the npm start, the command we executed. And as you can see, if I'm calling here npm start, I integrated the terminal. You guys can also open your terminal inside in the Visual Studio Code, and then you can easily your terminal work by command works easily do inside in the Visual Studio Code. So here now I'm calling the npm, which is the start, the script one start, which going to start the script. So when I hit the enter, it will be open our application on localhost 3000. So it uses this React script package to then also execute some start command there. So that's simply a command this package makes available, and this command happened to start this development server. Watch all our code, optimize the code, compile our code, and do all these things. Once you are ready for deploying your app. You will run npm run build to optimize it even more, not launch the development server, but instead get your optimized code stored in a folder, because right now you won't see your compiled code anywhere here. Everything happens in memory. But I will be come back to deploying the application later in this course. So let's close the package.json file for now. Now here we can see the node module folder holds all the dependencies and sub-dependencies of the project. This is why we have that many. We only had React, React DOM and React Script, but React Script has a lot of other dependencies. All these little bit tools which compile the code and so on. You should not edit anything into node module folder. Is generated automatically if you run npm install in your project folder, and this was automatically done by create react scripts. Now here, after the node module, here we can see the public folder. In the public folder have got one important file which is have index.html. This is a normal HTML page, and this is a single page we have here. We will never add more HTML pages in this project. If you are creating multi-page project, you will create multiple such projects here with Create React App. You will not add more HTML files here, or you need your own workflow if you want to do that. So this is the single page where in the end our script files will get injected by that build workflow, which is why you don't see a script import here, and you can edit this file, but we won't write any HTML code here. I want to highlight you some this div here with the id root. This will become important because this will be where we actually mount our React application later, and we will of course work in React. But if you need to add any imports, let's say other libraries, CSS libraries, or you want to add some meta tags, you can do that here in HTML file. You could also add more HTML here, but again, you probably want to do this in React. The minifeast JSON file here is there because Create React App give us a progressive web app out of the box. A very basic one at least, and give us this minifeast.json file where we can define some metadata about our application. Interesting for us and is this source folder here. We get a couple of files, and these are actually files we will work in. This is actually our React application. Most important for us right now, the index.js file get access to this root element in our DOM in our HTML file. So the element with the ID root, which of course is this div we saw in the index.html file. This one, and there is, you can see it render our React application with the render method. Now here is a reference of some app object or element which we import from an app file. The extension.js is left out because it's automatically added by our build workflow. And if we have a look at this app.js file, therefore this is where we see our first and only React component we have in the starting project. Right now, here we see some JSX, this one, and then we will dive deeply into what we see here exactly in the next lecture. For now, let's remove this. So now from here, I'm gonna remove this. In this wrapping div, and let's simply add h1 tag here, where I will be say I am React app. Let's close it, of course. Also, then let's save it. That always important. Don't forget to save your file. Now, since you have npm start running, this will automatically trigger recompilation, and it should automatically reload your page, to which is why you should now see I am React app instead of the old content. With that, we can also remove this logo SVG here. So let me remove this. Where it goes, I can see delete. So move to trash. And mm, now we got a bit of linear source folder. Now what else did Create React App create for us? It gave us this app CSS file, which is basically defines some styling we use in this app.js file. So I will say that these are not scope to this file. These are still global styling, and I will actually remove everything but this first app class definition in here and save it. We also get an index CSS file, which is also applies styles globally, and what should be used for some general setup as here for the body of our application. The register server, the service worker.js file is the name implies important for registering a service worker, which is generated automatically, that's related to this progressive web app we get out of the box. It will basically pre-cache our script files. We don't need to configure anything there. And the test file here, app.test.js, we we will dive into testing later in this course. It basically allow us to create unit tests for the different units, for example components in our application. So this is the general setup, and for the majority of this course we will work in app.js or other new components we create. Speaking of that, let's analyze this file. Let's understand the syntax we see there. Let's get rid of that logo import, because we removed the logo file. So this one, and this one app CSS. Now that I see is dive into JSX, what exactly that is and how we add more components to our application. So let's see in the next lecture.